guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Brittany, and definitely make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. So before I dive in, I just want to remind you guys of the mystery box giveaway. Drawing is held on Halloween. You can enter on every single video that I post all through October, and all you have to do to enter is like the video, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. You have to be subscribed to enter, and comment down below what you're going to be for Halloween this year, and then you're entered, which means that potentially you could enter 31 times. Anyways, let's dive in to the video. So I grew up going to Great Escape and Six Flags. My parents would always get us season passes every year. I remember my favorite rides would be the Raging River or the Blizzard, which was like a glow-in-the-dark scrambler. It was something that we always looked forward to. I was going to Great Escape and Six Flags when it was Looney Tunes or DC. Nowadays, they don't have those characters. I went to Great Escape when you could actually ride in the Cinderella pumpkin carriage. Now it's just kind of a prop that you can look at. It's kind of sad. Anyways, when you go to those places, you are kind of just focused on the rides and how much fun you're going to have. And you don't stop to think, oh, hey, is this safe? You don't think about the possibility of something bad happening. But Six Flags is not unknown to accidents. Just a disclaimer, I'm not saying any of this to deter you guys from going. Obviously, I still like going. I bring my kids there. So I still recommend going and having fun. Accidents are very uncommon, but they still happened. So we're going to talk about that and then talk about some ghosts. In 1968, ride attendant John Raymond Nelson accidentally lost his balance and he fell to his death while loading the El Sombrero attraction. In 1999, a 29-year-old woman from Arkansas died on a river rafting ride when the cells in the raft deflated and the ride machinery flipped the raft over. I remember hearing about this. Obviously, I didn't hear about this when this happened because I would have only been 3, and I would definitely not have remembered that. But I do remember my parents telling me about something in regards to that. But it was still, and still is, one of my favorite rides. Then in 2011, a 64-year-old woman was found unresponsive in a lazy river at the park's Hurricane Harbor, which is their water park. She was rushed to the hospital, but ultimately she didn't make it, and they did find out that she had passed from drowning. And then in 2013, there was a 52-year-old woman that fell from the New Texas Giant roller coaster after a malfunction with her seat restraint. So again, obviously the accidents are not frequent enough to deter you from going, but it's just something that you don't ever think about. Chances are, though, you still will go and you will have a great time. But then what about the ghosts? At Six Flags St. Louis, there are said to be at least 5 spirits. One of those is the Lady of the Theater, and she's believed to be named Stella. However, one paranormal team went in and said that is not her name, and that she will actually get mad or not want to talk to you if you call her Stella. But regardless, she is seen most often at the Empire Theater and has also been seen at the Palace Theater and in the courtyard behind the palace. She was seen one night by 2 security officers as she was walking across the courtyard up the stairs to the door of the security office. And then she has disappeared. There's also a male ghost that is said to haunt those same areas. He is known to be always angry, and she is known to be always friendly unless you call her Stella. And I know that I get a little bit upset. I've gotten a lot better with it, but I prefer when people spell my name correctly. But I do understand there's a lot of different spellings of Brittany. But I remember being in 5th grade and someone, like one of my friends at the time, had actually spelled my name wrong on the card that he drew. And I was like, you spelled my name wrong. And just immediately, like very bluntly, as soon as I looked at it, I was like, you spelled my name wrong. And nowadays, I don't really correct people. I just kind of let it be. But I do still prefer if it's spelled right. So with that, I would imagine if somebody is people are constantly calling you the wrong name, that would probably get annoying. Then there's a little girl of the Arbors. So the Arbors is located between Thunder River and the Colossus Ferris wheel. And she has been heard giggling throughout the park. But most of the sightings of her have been in the Arbors after closing. No one knows how long she's been there, how she got there, or how old she is. But she's believed to be about 8 to 10 years old. And she's always seen wearing a yellow dress with puffy sleeves. So that she's a very nice spirit and she will actually run her fingers through people's hair. Which would make sense because I feel like little girls often like to play with other people's hair. So in one account, there was a lady, she had like 4 to 5 kids with her. And they got really excited hearing about the story of the little girl of the Arbors. So they spent like 10 to 20 minutes trying to persuade her to come and play. But they didn't have any luck. So they decided, whatever, she doesn't want to come out. So they went and they rode the Batman roller coaster. As they were leaving, something had grabbed the mom's blouse, gave it 2 sharp tugs. So these were very noticeable. And she couldn't see who did it, but 2 of the kids had actually said that they heard a little girl giggle. They believe that this is the little girl of the Arbors. One of the security guards had an experience where he was making his rounds at 3 a.m. and he entered the Arbors and he saw a little girl. So she appeared to be 8 to 10 years old and wearing a yellow dress with puffy sleeves. He walked up to her to be like, hey, like, park's closed. What are you doing here? Where's your parents? And when he approached her, she just disappeared. Another security officer said that she heard giggles in several areas of the park. And sometimes when she would hear these giggles, she'd toss a coin in that direction and the coin would get tossed back to her. The little girl of the Arbors is also thought to be behind the muddy footprints that were left near the Ranger pilot's kiddie airplane ride in 2009 and was believed to also save a baby from a really serious injury. The stroller went down this like large incline and she actually stopped the stroller before it got hit. The next ghost is said to haunt the mine train roller coaster. So while there were only operators present and the power was turned off, the loading gate suddenly opened and closed. Strangely enough, they were talking about this specific ghost right before this happened. And the 5th ghost is known as Bob the Pigman. So he's said to be a pig farmer who had previously owned the property before Six Flags was built. And both himself and the pigs have been heard on the back roads of the park. He was said to have damaged some equipment while the Boss roller coaster was being built. So apparently he did not approve of that one. At the Six Flags in Georgia, there is said to be a spirit of a little blonde girl who is thought to be 9 years old. It's believed that her spirit was hit and killed by a car back in the 70s. And she will ask guests for help and then disappear, which is heartbreaking. At the Crystal Pistol Music Hall, there was an actor named Joe who was killed on his way to work in 1967. His spirit has been seen standing on the balcony watching the show, and people have also seen orbs and heard a man singing after the hall was closed for the night. Joe is also said to have been known to move props from inside to outside by the railroad tracks. And these railroad tracks are next to the building, which are also said to be haunted. Apparitions that are dressed in 1800s clothing have been seen crossing the Lick Skillet Railroad Bridge. So they're believed to be actors that were in an early Six Flags show of an 1800s train robbery. Finally, we go to Jackson, New Jersey. On May 11th, 1984, a major tragedy took place. Like, it was really bad. The park's haunted castle horror attraction had been consumed by flames, leaving 8 people dead. They were all teenagers, and 7 injured. Now, this attraction was meant to only be temporary. However, at the time this incident happened, it had been in the park for 5 years. And I mean, it had been opened in the park for 5 years. This was obviously like Fright Fest themed, kind of, it seems, because it was temporary. But this tragedy happened in May. So it obviously was being used apart from that. The attraction was made of aluminum trailers that were connected, and the left and right side mirrored each other. In the attraction, visitors would go through these narrow corridors and make their way to the end while they were getting scared by employees in costumes. There were lights and sounds and other special effects because, it's supposed to be scary. The fire started around 6:35 p.m. inside of the attraction, and firefighters responded immediately. The fire ended up being completely extinguished by 7:45 p.m. Initially, it was believed that everybody escaped, and the 7 people were brought to the hospital for smoke inhalation. However, firefighters started looking through the debris, and they realized just how wrong they were. They would discover 8 bodies that were completely unrecognizable. The fire was started by a visitor in the attraction using a lighter to see better in the attraction, which I'm not really sure why you would do that. But regardless, obviously it was a pretty big mistake, and when they did this to brighten their surroundings, they did it a little too well because the lighter ended up catching a foam padding wall, and the fire quickly spread throughout the entire structure. The haunted castle's interior was made out of wood, plywood, foam padding on the walls, and fabric and paper decorations. So all very flammable objects. Now, obviously, amusement parks have to adhere to certain safety measures, especially with their attractions, but because this one was supposed to be temporary, it didn't have to follow the same rules. The haunted castle didn't even have smoke alarms and a sprinkler system. But because the attraction was deemed temporary, even though it was in use in the park for 5 years, because of that temporary, Six Flags was still deemed not guilty in court. I mean, it's not really their fault that somebody took a lighter to see in it. But again, they should have had sprinkler systems. They should have had smoke alarms. Like, they should have had certain things. I feel like even for temporary attractions, that should still be mandatory. Obviously, this was a pretty horrible death, so it makes sense if some of the kids still hung around. In one encounter, they say, "My boyfriend and I went to Six Flags. We came back to wait for our bus in the parking lot. We were a little early, so we decided to watch King Ka, or King, I think it's King Ka. It says King Ka, but I'm pretty sure it's that. And the Superman coasters to take some pictures. After taking the pictures, we were leaning on a white plastic division blocker for cars when my boyfriend kept looking next to him while we were talking. Then from out of the corner of my eye, I saw some young white dude somewhere between 17 to 23 years old, about 6'1", standing next to me. He had a curly red or brownish afro and was wearing a red shirt. I had asked my boyfriend if he saw someone standing next to me, and he said no. I thought someone was sitting next to me. Come to find out, we saw the same guy. He described him with blue jeans, old black and white Converse, and a red shirt, something you would wear in the 80s or 90s, old school gear. So is it possible that what they saw, who they saw, was somebody in the tragic fire? Let me know what you guys think. If you guys had any experiences in any of the Six Flags or Great Escapes, or I guess any amusement park in general. If you have any paranormal encounters that you would like to share with me, I would love to hear them. And you can go ahead and email me at brittanybriereghosts@gmail.com. Don't forget to enter the mystery box giveaway. Make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button for me, and until tomorrow, I love you guys. Bye.